I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started here. Tuesday, January 14th. Board minutes for January 7th.
I move we accept the board minutes for January 7th, 2025.
I second it.
Public comment. Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried back.
There's just one thing I remember, there was kind of a misspelling. I can't remember what it was. It said something about table instead of, what was it? I was gonna tell you, but I can tell you later. It's just, the word is wrong.
Okay,
It's like table and it should be tablet or something like this. I'll find it.
okay.
And I was gonna tell you about it and I spaced it, sorry.
No, that's okay. We'll fix it.
Right, well, we'll go into correspondence. The first one's from Mako on the. They're talking about delisting and listing the grizzly bear status. Now they're not gonna, they're still gonna put them on endangered. They better do something about it.
Yeah, they better.
I mean, it's getting way out of hand. You know, they had that lady get killed, Novando, and I mean, they're just, it's out of hand. They just keep ignoring it.
This last summer there in the creek bottom
The
out there.
next one's from the Montana Department of Transportation telling us about funding for bridge repairs and replacements. We missed the first one. They said it's too late for it, but we just got this stuff. And then next one's a BIP one. That's in, it's due 10/1/25. And another one's 11/1/25. This person could look into this, especially if we're gonna look into some couple of bridges.
Yeah, I had a question. Did you see that? I don't know if it's a misprint on the date, but it says like the end of the period or whatever was the end of January, but then farther down for this year's deal, it says it's like for March or something or February. It's got a later date for the
February,
due
yeah.
date.
Well, I think that's a different. They got like the planning grants and then the bridge grants.
Oh,
So it's there's a whole different setup.
might be something to look into for next year though, if there's funding.
So do we somehow flag this to where we can bring it back up and put it on the agenda for future? We have to flag it for, there's a deadline. When's the deadline?
Well, that's the thing, they send us it now and we've already missed the first,
So we've missed that one.
but I think it was because we reached out to them already, was asking about all the money they
Right.
got if they could help us with bridges. Now it's starting to.
So for the FY 26 cycle, it says we'll likely have a deadline sometime January 26.
So right now we're in FY 26.
25 just closed, or it closes in,
Into
2
a month,
weeks.
Yeah.
which I don't know, I mean, it still might be something to look into. I mean, it might be too late, but maybe we can look to see if we can get something in real quick before the 30th.
Yeah. So is this something we want on maybe next week's agenda?
Well, I think we need to reach out, especially the Department of Transportation,
Yeah.
see if they're got this and they're putting these grants out, we'll have to. We got a couple of bridges that probably need it.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, we can get a hold of this Ryan Dalkey from MDTS. All they have is an email form, but
Yeah, I can write them. Get with Blaine.
yeah. maybe we still maybe try to get an application in this year.
Okay, the next thing's from Ashley Todd on the. This. City PACE program.
And what this is her chain from other treasurers on how they feel about the CPACE program, because we would need to create an SID. The treasurer would need to create an SID for these energy loans to businesses.
Okay, and the next one's from Slate. I think we are on here. Yeah. This here's a field observation report showing what they've done and what it looks like. Okay. This is more on the elevator system and stuff.
Yeah, elevator stuff.
Yeah.
So is this like a progression of from the beginning to? Field observation. Lots of pictures.
And the next one from Montana Association of Counties, and it's saying, I am pleased to announce that you have been selected to serve on the Public Lands Committee.
Oh,
Neat.
that's a good one to serve on. So I think maybe, Scott, this would be something that you'd have to notify him whether or not you will serve on this committee.
I need to talk to them more, see if just what little bit of savings, you know. I'll give it both of them. And the next one's from Missoula Electric Co-op Certificate of Insurance. Showing that they have insurance. Workers' compensation, employers, liability. Comment on the correspondence. All right, we'll move right into public comment on matters of commissioner's jurisdiction. Any public comment? Morning, Elena, go ahead.
Good morning. All right, public comment period, also on the correspondence. Public comment, again, there was no introductions. Who was here? As far as the commissioners. I know you were there because I saw you, Commissioner Adler, and I heard you. I hear you now. Commissioner Kolaski, I assume is there. I believe it was he who was speaking. But again, the way it's set up, I know you're going to look into this. It's still hard to follow. There were 55 pages of correspondence, and looking at some of those pictures, boy, that should be discussed fully and put on the agenda. That's all I'm going to say about that. But what's behind those walls is kind of scary, and the work is being done while the courthouse is opened to the public. As far as the Mako appointment, I think that's important. We do pay for services from Mako, and I think it's important that the commissioners do take an interest in it, especially the new commissioner, because they do have wonderful training on meetings. And I don't know the last time one of the commissioners attended that. So again, I think it should be discussed fully. And yes, if it deserves an answer or discussion, like with the Grizzlies or whatever, it should be on the agenda, a definite date and time for an agenda, so it doesn't get lost. So that's basically my comment. Thank you.
Other public comment.
Just an FYI, I did attend Mako in September, the annual conference. Just if anybody's interested, and it was noted that I'd be going back in September.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome for my attendance.
Go ahead, Elena.
Thank you. I meant as far as the training is concerned, and Blanche, you do. You step up to the plate. You attend the meetings, but I think the other two commissioners should also get involved. And I also forgot to note, last week I said the chat was on, and that's good, and now it's disabled. So I don't know the reason for that, but it's been disabled. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else for public comment? The gentleman talked to me, he was coming in for public comment, so we wait till 9:20. Certainly, I don't think he must be coming in, otherwise he'd be in here. So, we'll go ahead and jump right into the weekly report with Road and Bridge Superintendent Paul Alt, which is not here today due to they're trying to get a truck to Missoula to get fixed. Something with the ABS brake keeps locking up. They thought they got it, they thought Steve had it fixed yesterday and then now something in the computer. What he told me, everything just putting a lot of sand out, a lot of ice here and there.
Hi. Are you still in
There.
public comment?
Well, I just went off.
Oh,
Go ahead, we still got a couple minutes.
Reports, the court report. So we are up in our office, we're in the process of getting gas from the Department of Corrections, we're getting bids. Yeah, pick the same colors to match and stuff, but we would like to paint our office. And with Ryan being here, getting ready to paint all their stuff, we need to talk to him to give us a bid. To use that 20,000 for. We thought that would be a good way to use that money.
And totally up to you guys what you want to use it on, that's why we gave it to.
I don't think that you can include painting the offices in the elevator stuff.
Well, we would pay for it,
They'd use that 20,000 that we gave each.
office.
We haven't spent your 20,000 yet.
Yeah.
There's a deadline.
That's the way I understand it.
That's what we were thinking.
and Ashley Todd, Granite County Treasurer's Office. We also were planning on painting our offices. Initially I was planning on just doing it myself, which is not really what I want to do on my weekend, but if he is going to be doing other offices in the building, he said that he would be happy to do a bid for our office as well.
Okay, so I think this is a good idea, and the whole courthouse needs painted, but I just think that, I think maybe you can visit with him prior, or, and I would hope not till spring anyway, where you can open the windows and we don't have to smell paint.
Well, for our office, I was kind of hoping we might be able to do it in March, and I say that only because our new rollout for that motor vehicle is coming. And we have to shut down the motor vehicle for 3 days. So we won't be doing any motor vehicle process at all in that office while that transition is happening. So I was kind of hoping that that would be a possibility, but it's obviously up to him, but I guess we just wanted to make sure that we could ask for that.
So he's willing to put a bid in to paint your offices.
Yes,
And he's gonna do it individually.
That's
Fine with me.
right, yeah.
and then we would do the same as Carol.
Yeah.
We still have LATCF meetings too, so.
And we're not doing that purple like it is now.
Why not?
Or institutional yellow.
As long as it's a pretty good paint.
It'll be neutral. I mean, I'm not going to take crazy or.
No, you could do it red.
Blue and gold.
Go red.
Blue and gold, I'm gonna do it, Bob. No.
The LAPCF money can pay for both the supply and the labor, correct?
So that's just one thing too, that you have to look at the county building budget. Where you get a bid on it just to see where we're at, because it has not been discussed to paint the offices. I'm sure there's probably plenty of money in there for maintenance. But it's just something that we need to know just what it's gonna cost to paint, and probably isn't anything where we have cleared out for bid. And if he's willing to give you a bid on it. Good idea, it really double.
I mean, they're here. They got all the equipment.
Yeah.
It's
I know.
a no brainer, I think.
No brainer, but they're here for the elevator stuff, it's not to bid on staying around and bidding on offices getting painted, that's something completely different.
Cause we asked him to give us a bid on fixing the windows and the entrance shed, we drove them to.
Okay.
So. I guess once we get the stuff, then we can talk about it, work from there. We won't know what to, maybe get a deadline and stuff.
So it could be also something that we should ask. We maybe should ask somebody else to give us a bid. Is that what you're kind of saying?
I don't,
Or-
I don't think we have to, we're
No,
not.
no,
over
it's not.
It's gotta be
It's
a
not over
certain
80.
amount.
Yeah, gotta go over 80,000.
Yeah.
Put it out, this way, you know, I mean, like you said, right here, it's gonna save us money, not.
Yeah.
We could pay for the paint out of our LCF and maybe the labor would come out of county building.
I just get a bid and see what it comes into and then we'll make a decision.
When you can do it.
Thank you.
Maintenance thing,
Gotta take care of the building.
Yeah,
We're putting a lot of money into it, so. it's gotta look
on
good.
the, we're on the weekly report with Road and Bridge, and a few weeks back. We requested Paul look into a webinar. And, it was snowplow truck maintenance best practices. And this has been a few weeks ago where he had plenty of time to do this. Did he ever do it?
I can't answer that, Blanche, but we told him to make sure to check in to see who was gonna go and that.
Yeah.
We did action. And I haven't.
I was gonna ask him now, and it's too late now, we can, because the registration deadline was January 3rd. And, the class was January 8th. And I imagine he probably would have informed you if anybody,
And I thought it was the first one, we wasn't looking, the second one or something, I can't.
Yeah, was there one like first part of February or?
That's
end
what
of
I
the
thought
month
we was looking
For
at.
this one.
so this, I'm looking at correspondence from December 10th.
Okay.
That was on the agenda. So,
Could you print that off? I don't know what I had mine, but I don't know, I guess.
there isn't anything right now. Okay, there was something. There's another one,
Wasn't there something that we was making sure that they went, there was something
Tractor.
that was,
okay, tractor mower operator safety training. Is February 27th. And the registration deadline is the 24th.
For this month.
Yeah, February.
Oh, February.
Registration. But I just remember that we were looking at the snowplow truck maintenance. That would be a good best practices to reduce.
when's that?
That's over, it's done. That was one of the ones that we thought that he had to register by the 3rd of January. I'm just saying,
No, I understand, we told them we want to make sure that they were notified, cause I'd help our insurance and stuff.
yeah.
Right.
So the one thing here, and I see this is from TLN. So is that the transportation department or what is that? TLN webinars.
I don't think that's transportation, that's just somebody putting on the course.
So I think maybe we need to research makers or something to see what kind of maybe virtual classes. Just saying, I mean, this was correspondence and we looked at it. But, hey, this might be,
What was the one for March of Clover? Or?
Mower and mower,
okay, let me look.
that's in February, she
Um,
said.
There is. Tractor mower operator safety training in February, and then in March, there's an ethics.
What's in March?
Ethics.
Morning.
Morning.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Oh, we definitely need to pursue this, because that's what we told him to make sure. and that's what
Morning.
I guess but I mean, we told him to do it, so I guess we'll just make sure I'll get a hold of it.
Well, that's his responsibility.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the
I forgot.
administrator of the road. It's not our responsibility to make sure this classes get
Right.
signed up for. Good morning, Blaine.
Morning. How's it
Good
going?
morning, Ashley.
Right, anything else on road and bridge or solid waste?
I have something for solid waste. Ashley Todd, Granite County Treasurer, The burn permits have been submitted for being able to burn both piles. We are just waiting on signatures from the sanitarian, and then, we submit those to the DEQ to sign off on, and then they'll be able to burn within 30 days of that notice. So,
That'd be a good time, 'cause there's some moisture down there, I mean, that pile drops huge.
is it
It running out of room.
the whole,
Chad's usually here on days, Tuesdays. You
he's
you
been
see
working.
him pop in and out.
yeah. He's been here
Chad
on days.
friends.
He did, I think Paul talked to Chad, and Chad was gonna come in and sign the documents once he had time to look at those piles. Excuse me. So, well, they're ready, document wise, just need signatures and approval.
Thanks.
So the burn permits are an annual thing, right?
Yeah, we just have to, anytime we're going to burn, we have to send a notice to Troy at the DEQ for him to authorize the burn.
Alrighty, well, thank you for getting that, and then said usually you see Chad come in and Tuesday you can see him pop in, so.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be here today.
He says that's.
Anything else on the road, bridge, or solid waste report?
We were gonna do a working meeting that, when did we decide that was gonna be?
Did we decide the working meeting was gonna be February 11th? I think it's
Or what was that?
Solid
for
waste,
solid
Oh.
waste.
trying to get everybody on the same page.
Yeah,
Is there still a solid waste board, or is that something?
Commission,
Okay.
yeah, it's a commission. Yeah, it is a board, yeah, I mean, it's solid waste district.
They used to
commission,
have a
so.
board.
So a separate agenda item. Like it'll have its own agenda. On the 11th.
The agenda would be on the regular agenda, it wouldn't be a separate agenda item, I don't think, would it?
No, it'd just be like at 10 o'clock or whatever she set it up. We
Okay.
already agreed on that.
And we'll bring all of our parts and pieces together and things that we'd like changed and adjusted. In the policy, right? There's a few changes that we've asked about and talked about. And that's when that would happen.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
What changes are you talking about?
There was a couple of changes for the units, questions on units for commercial. Then there was also for the minimum on page. There's a minimum of $7.50 for pay as you go. And we talked about changing that to an even $8 or whatever it needs to be. Sorry, just switched right up.
So this working session is what you want is updating the solid waste policy or the bylaws, is that what you're requesting?
I think there's not a lot of changes that necessarily need to be made. I would just say like that one section where it's the pay as you go, dollar amount. Then we also discussed the number of units for commercial. That needs to be updated.
What are you changing on the commercial, or are you just looking, if they're going over theirs, that's up to him to maintain that. If they need
No,
more
I'm-
units, they have to buy their own.
I'm sorry, I'm talking more about our policy and what I assess as taxes. So our tax fee, not to do with granite disposal. So it's we have the chart here that tells you how many units go to each property and what type of property. I would like to see this updated. Because there's not a clear guideline, I don't think, in here when it comes to things like VRBOs, certain types of restaurants, or it's very vague. So I would just like to see this updated.
Okay, so like in the past, we relied on granite disposal to bring information to the treasurer on whether or not more units should be added, and like one unit is 135.
Mhm.
And some businesses have 4, some businesses have 10 units, I don't know. So what you're asking is we need to, as Granite County, and not rely on Granite Disposal to bring us information on whether or not there should be more units on certain businesses.
Well, if,
Go ahead, Blake. Oh, sorry.
Granite Disposal, I think would have good information if they're hauling for those folks that could help you. I think if we don't have VRBO in there, that could be added. But then also we do have in the policy that if they're using more than what's allotted, then we get an agreement with them. So that's, I think, part of the working session, talking about that process of getting an agreement with folks.
Mhm.
And the only one that truly knows that is Granite Disposal. Right?
If they're hauling,
They're hauling.
if they're hauling for that business, they should know the general averages, I would think, yeah.
Well, it's up to him to figure that, because, you know, where he don't have scales, he can't judge on how much he's home by each one, but he actually, I mean, come on, you know what you're getting out of it. If you have to go up there and all of a sudden your truck, yeah. You know, we've gone through this over a year and a half, and I just, I think we're at a good spot where we're sitting. I understand about updating some, but we don't want to go back and go through this whole thing. I don't.
The units are really, I mean, it's gonna be case by case basis, so I think the agreement is good because. You know, one business, they might be open one day a week or whatever and not have very much garbage. Another business could be open every day and have a lot of customers, so
You get more
it's really a
people,
case by case
and
basis.
you get more people in the summer.
Yeah,
In these places. I mean, it's up to him to maintain that. That's really.
Right, but this is more like what I'm talking about is more my side of things when I have a customer or a taxpayer that comes in and say that they have their home and their business. They're being assessed for 2 units of garbage. That person actually had only dumped 500 pounds for the entire year.
I know, but if they have a business and that, you know, on the tax thing, they should be getting charged for 135 for the business plus for your personal stuff. And that's what we set it up at. Cause
Right.
there's people calling and saying, well, this guy's working out of his shop. He has a business. He's getting paid as a contractor. And yet it's right down his own taxing. I mean, there's places a guy can walk around and see people are working out of it, you know, and they should be getting charged for 2 units, not 1.
Right, and that's where we need to,
But who's gonna be the one that goes around?
well, that's
Yeah.
where I come in.
You
I
know,
get,
this is the thing we talked about.
right,
well, I think it should be flexible enough though that we can come with an agreement to amend to look at actual usage, I think.
What you're saying is the person that you're using as an example has his business in his home
yes.
and he's being charged 2 units.
So, and that's the same thing when it comes to a VRBO. You know, if you have a VRBO and it's the same situation, you have a duplex. Right, then you have 2 units.
But if they're getting an income off of it, it's no different. I mean, you're working out of your house, you still got a separate business. They should have a tax ID number for his business, so there shouldn't be 2 charges.
But it's tax wise for property. It's only one tax ID. Because it's one
Yeah,
dwelling or one unit.
But I mean, that's what you're saying, the person have to drive around and look at these businesses and say, well, you're working here, so you can be getting charged 2 units.
And we don't have someone to.
You don't have enough money to do that.
Yeah. So that's where I just wanna see maybe this policy with the number of units be just defined a little bit.
Go ahead, Elena. Running low with get past.
Thank you, Elena Gagliano. For the record, from what I can hear, Treasurer Ashley is making some good points. She does take care of our property taxes. And there was a time when there was a solid waste board and there were meetings and people would show up if they had a problem. And the treasurer would say, well, if you have a problem with solid waste or billing, I suggest you attend that meeting. Here's when it's going to be, and it's done. But on the agenda, the way it is now, weekly report, weekly report, solid waste. I mean, that means nothing to the public. It's a weekly report. So what are you going to talk about? But here, Ashley brought up some very good points that people are coming to her to complain. What is she going to do? It's a discussion, and it has to be discussed with the proper people. And so there should be a definite agenda item saying it so people could attend. And sometimes with businesses, it makes it hard to physically attend in person because of the time. That's why, again, remote viewing is very important and saves money.
And we
And
have,
so that's what my comment is that there should be another board for solid waste, which was, I think, accomplishing a lot, and probably that's why it was done away with. And Blaine, you made some good points too about working sessions. And that's important. Thank you.
go ahead, Blaine.
So the county commission is the board of the solid waste district. The working meeting is February 11th, so that'll be time for but if folks have issues, they work it out with Scott Reddick, or they can come in and talk to you guys during this time. So
Thank you. Well, we're gonna move on because we're running over, so. We'll jump into the dam tenders report. Like that, 64, 28, 54, 11.52 inches below.
It's going up.
We gave war. Last week was 12.
Right, we gained an inch then.
10. We're releasing 10.
Right, no, we gained an inch from last week. What's
The precipitation, like tomorrow, if it's gonna, they're saying it's gonna hit 44 or not, we're gonna start getting more water coming in.
Yeah.
It's gonna start.
I would make a motion, we stay at 10.
I second that?
Any public comment? Means none, all in favor?
I
Like, we'll stay at 10.
That's
It's gonna be moving up a little bit, probably next week or something. I think I better start.
is that the most we can go is 10?
No,
Go up
Well,
one.
anything over 10 would be a temporary modification, but you can
but we
go to
just gotta get approval now, but if there's more coming in, obviously it's. It'll be given out, so. Use that. Use the outflow, what's coming in the outflow.
what's the lake level right now?
64,
64, 28.
All right, so
So last week it was 12 and this week's 11, so
we're gaining, it's fast, really. All in favor?
I
We carry fast. All right, we'll go ahead and jump into victims advocacy grant agreement signatures up for the acceptance and signing.
By all victims witness advocate for Granite County, the state is requesting, because we've had some turnover, to update our signature page for the grant. And Ms. Claudette sent it up for us to sign.
let's see, did it have Scott as the chair on there?
It had Blanche and had you.
what's this?
Yeah,
It was changed.
Oh, well, okay.
I
All right,
updated it.
yep, sounds good, thanks.
Oh, it's not, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think this changes it, right?
Yeah,
So it's just Scott's signature?
It'll be all Ashley's, mine, Scott's.
Oh,
do we need a motion on it?
I motion.
what's the motion?
Prove the signature page,
Approve
prove the signature page.
the signature page.
I'll second it.
Public comment? Being none, all in favor?
I,
Aye. On this is a, yeah, and this means that you'll take.
yeah,
You'll take care of this.
You signed it already?
Yep.
All right, thanks.
And she works under you, right? Like.
Yes,
trying to
yeah.
make sure it keeps everything-
Yeah, that changed probably in the 2016 or so. It's been 8 years.
Any other comments on this?
That's a comment.
Go ahead, Elena, sorry.
Thank you. Is Penny still there?
Yes, Lena.
Hi, Penny. Welcome. I could hardly hear you. Congratulations on your new title. Maybe they should put your name on the agenda so we know that you are the new advocate. Congratulations and thanks for doing it.
so Penny, how long have you been advocate?
I've been the advocate since June, was when the grant was started, brought it back in, and yeah.
Yeah, it's not just it started today, come on.
It's just that we've had some turnover, Billy is no longer on the committee and then we have Ashley, so instead of that Vicky, so we're doing some changes. Thank
Go
you, guys.
ahead, Elena.
Thank you. Yes, she's been there for a while, but I'm just saying, then why isn't her name on the agenda instead of just the abbreviation, okay, of the board? Since she does have a name, I'm from the public. I'm pointing these things out.
We understand.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Take the copy.
Thanks, Benny.
Thanks.
Thanks, Penny.
We got a few minutes before Kelly Sullivan for Executive Director of Headwaters. Is that you?
No, Kelly's not able to make it, but I actually manage the CPACE program, so I'll be giving a presentation in just then.
Hey, we better wait because there's questions.
Is someone gonna be on Zoom too?
No.
You know, just you,
No, I
just you in your person.
I just drove over on this beautiful morning.
Brenda, could I get that printed off so I can get it to Paul again on the classes?
Yeah.
So. I definitely, yeah.
So Blaine, quick question on the solid waste thing. Do we get the county fee removed off that the commissioner were talking about back in December, where they have like the overage deal that says county
Oh,
fee, or is that gonna be something we'll talk about and get?
so we sent
fixed?
the letter to him and he said he'd take it off.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see what's the next bill that comes out, but
Okay.
they said they'd take it off.
So the one thing
Yeah.
that kind of confuses me, and this is coming from the article in the paper, as long as we have a few minutes
Yeah.
before our next agenda item. Stating how he has to pay the county this fee. Is that due to the overages? Because he certainly doesn't pay a fee, a monthly fee,
Yeah.
because he has all these units that he uses, and so there's no charge to him because he has this co-op of the units.
So it's overages what he's talking about. So under the policy, every quarter, they compare the total units they have to the total combined weight that was, and there's an overage, so. That's what takes care of the issue. Well, under the policy, it's alternative to having scales actually on the trucks, and it's the most fair way to do it. I think. I mean, so that something, you know, people aren't able to double dip. Basically, you're paying for what you.
Because you look at the co-op and you think he's got all these units that are his to use because he's hauling garbage. Couldn't those overages be included in the whole total of the units that he has?
He's just going over that in the
Oh,
quarter.
okay.
So I mean, he does have substantial units. I'm not sure how many he does, but and I'm not sure what his overages were like past quarter. It probably wasn't substantial, was
He has, I believe, now. This is based off of information I'm trying to recall from Scott and I's discussion, Scott Reddick. I think he has around quarter of the units that Granite County has as a total. And I think we have as a total over 1,600 units.
it? Okay. So they're
He's not gone over.
oh yeah, okay.
That's
So
To my knowledge, as of this year, he has not gone over.
then I have no idea why that
That he said
fee
he
got
was in
put on
charge.
there. If I just assumed he was going over.
We have
Right.
not built
Yeah.
granite disposal. Or
Well, some of that, and then he was hauling the deer lot, so we wouldn't know either, instead of weighing in when he does them.
I know some people were, they'll have their bin filled and then have another few garbage sacks on the side. I can see where, if he wants to charge him extra for that, is he's doing more work for him, but that he stays under the total units for the quarter, then should be no overages with the county.
Well, so there's no fee that he pays then.
Yeah, so I'm confused at what,
Yeah.
if there was
I
no
know
overages
read
the last
article,
quarter.
But it's
Yeah.
something that he has to pay the county so much, and he doesn't, because
No,
he has.
he just-
right, but he's not going to know that until toward the quarter or the end of the year, if he has those, so he has to be able to
Yeah.
cover that cost.
He's trying to preempt it, but you can't,
That's
you're
why,
never gonna be,
that's why we're pushing so bad to have scales.
yeah.
So then
But-
and he said he couldn't. But now he's gone to smaller dumpsters, and he has an easier way to lift them than that, which, cause it can't find help, which I understand. But
Yeah, you can't preempt a fee. I mean, it's gotta be what. He's gotta have his deal with his customers or whatever, and if they know they're dumping extra, then they'll have to pay for it, but. Doesn't, yeah,
I'm just curious because it was the article in paper that led you to believe that he had these fees that he
I,
had to pay,
I assume that too from what was said.
and I was.
Which he would, if
Yeah.
he ever reached
Yeah.
that, and
Well,
it's, yeah,
Yeah,
yes, he did, right? You never know.
that's why I thought, well, how could he reach it when he has all these units?
Mhm.
It's- So I was confused.
He has, I think he has a cushion, it's not a big cushion, but
He even came in and said that, yeah, if all those. The bins are full and not overflowing, that he could cover it, so that they already knew that.
okay, we're gonna be a few minutes early, but we'll go ahead into Kelly Sullivan, Executive Director of Headwaters RC&D. If you wanna come up and state your name that you're covering, we're sitting here.
Oh, well, okay, thanks. Yeah, my name is Carolyn Jones, and I'm the CPACE Program Manager at the Montana Facility Finance Authority, and I did bring copies of, my little presentation if you guys would
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Here you go.
I just got it. I just don't trust technology. It's like physical copies. One more. No, no. I'll give her mine if you want.
No, I've got mine
Okay.
and we are good. So, yeah, thanks for allowing us some time today. I've been kind of working with Kelly at Headwaters to go through the 7 counties that Headwaters RC&D area operates in, and trying to get the PACE program, commercial PACE program, opted in by all of those jurisdictions. So So basically, she's just been helping me get to, in front of the county commissioners. We always try to get in front of a county and get a district approved countywide as opposed to citywide first. A couple of reasons. Obviously, it's broader coverage for everybody. You don't have a situation where business is in the city limits and a business across the street isn't in the city limits, and therefore it wouldn't have access to the program. And ultimately, the program is on the county property tax bill. So basically, CPACE was passed. It's lovely acronym, you know, government acronym. So it's Commercial Property Assessed Capital Enhancements. You might also hear it referred to as Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy, which is what the acronym stands for in about 37 other states across the country, and 3 states have chosen to go at it from a more economic development aspect or business opportunity approach, and capital enhancements or capital expenditures. And basically, it's just kind of an innovative financing structure that allows building owners to borrow money to pay up those upfront fees for making energy efficiency improvements, such as a more energy efficient HVAC system, any sort of water conservation, so a lot of low flow plumbing units and a lot of low flow plumbing piping, or renewable energy, so adding solar panels on that as well. Too. The program was created by the legislature, and they put in a couple of kind of protections, so to speak. One is that the program does require lender consent. So if there is any senior debt on the building, that lender does need to be aware of and consent to the improvements being made, because they are permanent improvements onto the buildings. And then the legislature also required the program to be cost effective, because again, this is another economic development tool in the toolbox available to businesses that works for them. And so basically the savings that the property owner will be able to generate over the life of the improvement is expected to cover the cost of the purchase and the improvement of those types of improvements. And then rather than being like a commercial lender, a loan where you would go to a lender and get maybe a 7-year loan for a piece of equipment, these loan terms are tied to the useful life of the improvement. So if you're replacing HVAC, it could be a 25, 27-year term. And then as opposed to being a monthly principal and interest payment to a lender for those 7 years, you're basically, it's added to the property assessment by having a tax assessment lien filed and recorded with the county and the local jurisdiction. And then it just is an additional line item on the tax assessment, just like a current, another special improvement district, like a lighting district. Only that would be put on multiple property owners' assessments. This is just an individual property owner. So it doesn't involve any sort of federal funds or state funds. We're truly just kind of a marketplace for a private sector property owner to meet and work with a private sector lender to negotiate the terms and the financing on that part too. It's just a kind of a mechanism in place to allow it to be put on the tax assessments. And we are designated as the statewide program administrator by the legislature. And one of the reasons that Montana looked at this, as you can see on the third slide, is it's estimated that Montana's commercial and industrial businesses spend $1.2 billion on energy costs every year. And the estimate is that about 30% of that energy used in those buildings is lost to inefficiency. So you can imagine what a lot of property owners could be doing with that money if they didn't have that wasted dollars. So eligible properties, commercial, industrial, mixed use, agriculture, multifamily, which is 4 or more. So we aren't able to do residential, like a single family residential, or any sort of like condominiums association or homeowners association. It does have to be tied to a commercial property on that part too. And then we can do new construction projects, we can do retrofit projects, and then we can also do retroactive. The legislature also put in place that if any property owners put these types of improvements in up to the last 3 years looking back, we can come in and do retroactive financing for them as well too. And again, this is a 100% voluntary program. It's just another option to offer to property owners for a financing option if it works for them, and it's privately negotiated between themselves and the lender.
Who approves it? I mean, how do you, who comes in and says that they'll do it for you? I mean, they come and look and see if you're.
Oh, from a contractor's perspective? Yeah, so
Just being eligible, like, is there what's the eligibility of like?
basically, yeah, once the legislature put in place, it's a statewide program with Montana Facility Finance Authority, is the statewide administrator. And then our kind of workload right now and getting the program up and running is to work with the local jurisdictions to get them to opt in, which basically just gets some documentation in place and the legalities that the Facility Finance Authority kind of acts as the local government's agent when talking to the borrowers, when talking to the lenders, on that part too. And then again, the county, would just agree to work with us to get that information on the tax assessment on that part too. But as far as working with a property owner, pretty much I answer a lot of phone calls, and a lot of emails. And they just tell me what they're working on, looking at doing in our project. Matter of fact, I've got approval, I've talked to a developer, and a national capital provider. There's a developer here well, I'm not sure that they're not locally here, but they're working on the Stevens Hotel upgrade. So that's, they're approximating, that's gonna be a $7 million investment that they're looking at, the improvements to making on the Stevens Hotel. And so we're working with them to go through the step to identify what improvements as part of that renovation will be CPACE eligible. And then that portion can be kind of sectioned off and financed separately through this assessment financing, as opposed to, and then the rest will be more of a traditional financing. But for the areas of the improvements that aren't qualified for the CPACE program. So I do a lot of phone
Okay,
calls.
so that's kind of awesome. So this program, you would manage it, it goes through Headwaters, so they go through.
Yeah, I would actually manage it, and I work with the Montana Facility Finance Authority, which is an attached to board under the Montana Department of Commerce.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would basically work with, once kind of the process from a county commissioner standpoint is we typically give a presentation, answer, a lot of questions, go over the process. The first step is for the commissioners to adopt a resolution of intent, which basically just documents, the intent to look at this program and have this on the books. Within that resolution of intent, there's a notice of a public hearing to be held. And then the second step would be to hold that public hearing. And then the third step after the public hearing is a final resolution. And within that final resolution, and I can send.
Okay, so this person with the Stevens Hotel is looking at it, and you're helping him with this. If Granite County accepted this CPACE and we accepted the SIDs, then you would inform him that he has this ability for eligible improvements.
Yeah, so we would let him know that CPACE has been approved in Granite County, so therefore property owners in Granite County have this as an option to them. And then we would work with that developer. And the other advantage to the program is there is an actual qualified contractor required to provide an energy assessment or an energy audit, which is what provides us the information that confirms the fact that they're going to be able to generate enough savings by this efficient equipment over the lifetime of that equipment that would offset the costs of purchase and installation. And so it is a qualified contractor, and we have a list of qualified contractors on the program's website. And it is required that they be registered to do business in the state of Montana. So this particular developer is already working with an architect out of Billings, Montana, and they've agreed to work with a contractor out of Missoula. So again, it kind of is an indirect benefit too. It helps support businesses within the state of Montana, get some, business and being able to do the contractors and stuff like that. So that contractor will put together the energy assessment that'll show us that number, kind of going back to high school, show me your math. It basically puts that information down in paper form for us. And then the legislature did put one other kind of protection in place, and that's a required independent third-party review. So a secondary, completely independent contractor needs to review that information and make sure it's legit, make sure they're using, industry accepted modeling type of equipment, that the actual equipment that they're looking at, again, is true and tested, not some newfangled thing. And we don't have contractors to fly by night. I always think of the hailstorms because I grew up in Southeast Wyoming. So I was thinking of the contractors coming through, telling these homeowners they're going to do great, wonderful things, and they cash their check and they're out of there the next day. So that's kind of that extra protection that the legislature put in place.
I have a couple questions,
you
but isn't it Phil McDonald doing the Stevens Hotel? He's a local contractor or local developer.
I've heard that there's a local person involved in the
Okay.
project. I just have not actually spoken to the local
Okay,
person.
all right.
I've spoken to the person with the development company, which I believe is out of South Carolina. And then also maybe that's where the national capital providers come from. Anyway, they've talked to an actual financer.
My second question is more kind of a it's not ripping on the program, but why is the need for counties? I understand that it's assessed on the taxes, but why are counties part of this program? I mean, why-
So counties are a part of the program because of the assessment lien being filed at the local level. So it's the local person recorder that files the assessment lien when the financing is closed. And then it's the county treasurer that puts this assessment in their tax software system. So either Black Mountain or Tyler Tiffin.
But couldn't it be handled through a private loan and a lien put on the clerk recorder's office, just as easy?
It could be, but the financing options are different for the property owner. So again, if you did it more of that traditional way and it's not on the assessment, a commercial lender is gonna come in and they're gonna want monthly payments, principal and interest. Whereas allows the business to pay twice a year. So you've got that. Again, a commercial lender is looking at an equipment loan. They're probably gonna offer a generous term of 7 years. Maybe if you've got a good relationship, 10-year timeframe. The term on these loans are tied to the useful life of the improvement. So, useful life of the improvement. So for the HVAC system. So if you'll look, I think on the back of your guys' packet, there's a case study, that blue and white one there. It's actually a separate flyer. It's kind of that flyer. Yeah, that blue and white one. That is a project that's a commercial building retrofit in downtown Billings. Probably that last page. Yeah, it's kind of blue and white. And it's the Head and Empire building again in downtown. And so the business owner was looking at making improvements. That building was built in 1929. They were looking at making improvements. He was, in addition to the senior debt on the building, in order for him to make those improvements and pay for that, he was looking at a mezzanine debt option at 16%, 16% or 18%. Sorry, my numbers mixed up. And that was not going to be feasible for him. He was able to designate the specific parts of his project that were CPACE eligible, and we were able to find CPACE financing for him that goes out of term in 27 years, and it's at 8.5 or 8.4%. So that's going to generate him an additional, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's an additional cost savings over the life of that improvement that allowed him to actually move forward with that. And by moving forward with those improvements to that building, it opens up quite a bit of extra leasable space that he had in that building that wasn't able to be leased prior to that because those improvements really needed to be made. Plus, he's going to be able to increase his rent down the road when leases are up.
How do you get the better terms then? I mean, is it
Because
state backing
it's,
or I mean, is there?
No, it's not
no
state
dollars?
it's because of this financing tool. So from a lender's perspective, the lender approaches CPACE financing is a little different than a traditional commercial loan in the fact that they're underwriting the property. They're not necessarily underwriting the business that's in the property at the time or the business owner. So that's another advantage to the business owner. They typically don't require guarantees, personal guarantees. But they're underwriting the property. So they're looking at, okay, if something goes wrong with this loan and they aren't able to make their payments, what is this property and what's its ability to be basically bought by somebody else? So like a hotel is going to be much more favorable of a property being underwritten than like a little hospital because it has such specialized use. Nobody else is going to really come in and buy the property. Another advantage is that these are non-accelerable loans. So from the perspective of if something does go bad, the only thing that's in default is that year's payment. So if you've got a $500,000 loan over a 27-year term and you run into a rough season, I mean, heaven forbid that we have another pandemic situation or something, but something happens and there's just a bad, Gardner, the flood in Gardner, which really hurt a lot of the hotel and hospitality industry. And they get behind on their tax payments. It's only those tax payments that are able to be called. So they can't call, like if it was $50,000 that year, they're only behind that $50,000. None of the financing can come in and call that $500,000 note because it's a non-accelerated. So just like especially if you've got a senior lender on there withholding another debt, they're going to come in and cover those kind of back taxes, those back insurance to protect that collateral. So they're going to come in and they're going to cover that 1 or 2 years worth of back payment.
How about if they miss 3 years and it'd be subject to a tax deed?
The way that the legislature approved this program and statute is written, and this is why it involves the counties, is it follows, once it's on the assessment, it follows the tax process just like it's already in place. So by approving this program at a county level, the county isn't having to purchase any more software, purchase another program, use any other outside infrastructure. It's already got that I think you guys said you use Black Mountain. It's already got the Black Mountain tax software in place. So when we get a financing in place, we just work with the county the financing documentation is filed with the clerk and recorder as far as the assessment lien. And then we, as part of my role as the program administrator, work with the county treasurer staff. And we also partner with Robin Rood and the Property Assessment Division at Department of Revenue. The first time any of these get on the books at a county level, all of us team together to get that information on the books. And in the software, and then from once it's in that software, the very first time, it follows the typical assessment process.
What's the county get out of this besides?
So they're one of the slides here addresses basically. I mean, it's really,
I mean, it sounds to me like they're gonna have more work. What's covering that?
So I've
I've
talked to the developer. Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out what, I mean, they're getting more work. How does that come out on our end? I mean, you're saying taxes, we're gonna get more taxes, we gotta go. I guess.
Yeah,
Those are passed through though, right? I mean, that's assessed on the taxes they're passed through.
Yeah,
So
so
they-
basically from the property owner standpoint, they're gonna get their normal property tax assessment. And they're gonna have an additional line item that'll say CPACE assessment and the dollar amount, and it's broken down into even dollar amounts. You are right in the fact that it does require upfront a little bit more work to build each assessment in the tax software system. Myself and my coworker have met with the developers or the trainers in both of the tax software companies, so we've met with Black Mountain. And they estimate that it's gonna take 2 hours upfront to put the assessment in the system.
I was gonna mention that, this would be a daily, I know you're gonna have to set up an SID.
Yeah, so you basically,
And it's, you're setting up the SID, you basically set up the SID, which is normal work procedure in the treasurer's office. If there's an SID coming in, they have to anyway, they have to set it up. It's set up, it's done, and then it's just manually where Black Mountain's gonna go in and it's gonna be updated. And it's not going to be something that it's a daily routine that they're gonna have to work on every day. It's setting the initial SID up is all it's doing. Which,
and from there, the infrastructure that you already have in place with that software system, it follows the same process. Just like the Stevens Hotel has been, having for, the last 20 years, they would just have an additional line item assessment.
And one of the things I would say that it does benefit, and I see where your question, where does any additional money come to the actual county, right? So it would increase the market value of the property, which increases the tax amount. The county. It benefits the county also by bringing in more commerce. So you're having another business in town or in Drummond, maybe being able to take a business that isn't operating currently because of a lot of reasons.
But there's no administrative fee or anything.
Well,
like it.
okay, so beside that, the county can add, right now, we have 17 counties, 2 cities that have been opted in right now. I'm working with one additional county right now that is looking at adding administrative fees. So it is an option. So far, none of those 19 jurisdictions that we've approved to date have chosen to do that because again, I can't really speak for them. But again, like you said, it's building at one time. My understanding is it's a 2-part the very first time. One is on the accounting side, because when the payment comes in, the payment, anything associated with that CPACE on the accounting side, a separate check gets cut and it comes to us. At the Montana Facility Finance Authority, and we're working with the borrower and the lenders to make sure that payment gets through. And that's to help alleviate any also administrative burden on the county so that the county isn't having to track. We all know banks get bought and sold or, acquired through some reason or whatever. Or even if the loan gets sold from one bank to another. We're doing that tracking. We're not asking the county to do that tracking. So basically the CPACE assessment gets paid to the county sends the funds to Montana Facility Finance Authority as the administrator, and we track and further remit that funds to the appropriate lender at that point in time. Because we realize this is a 20-year, 25-year loan, so it can take time. So that's kind of the role that by opting in those documentations, those resolutions put in place that give the Montana Facility Finance Authority to basically do that kind of back-end administrative work. So we're not relying on county staff to answer questions from the lenders, answer questions from the potential property owners. But you are right in the fact that upfront, to build it in the system the first time.
And
They're
I
the
just,
administrator.
one little comment here, it's the same as building a fund, a new fund. You have to make sure that you hit the correct accounts and the correct accounts are added to that fund. It's the same thing as building an SID. And that is something normal procedure that the clerk and recorder does when new funds come into play, where we decide that we want a new fund for a special grant or something coming in. That fund has to be built.
And it's actually like, in
And-
my eyes, it's a lot more
You're not-
work for the
yeah.
Department of Revenue. Cause the Department of Revenue, they essentially have to have all of your information input for that taxpayer before they even send anything to me to make sure that it looks good on our side. So essentially, I'm auditing whatever the DOR is sending to me before I send anything else out. So I see this as a similar situation to like, if you looked at the way that we use, the Drummond Improvement District. It's a kind of essentially the same thing. When their end of month comes and we pay them out, it'd just be like me paying that improvement district to Drummond, but instead I'm paying CPAs directly to you, and then you are giving that out to those lenders that are due those funds.
Where do you get all your money to do this?
We don't have any money. It's private sector lenders. So we work with banks. So right now we've been working with the two, I would say the case studies. Three Rivers Bank financed the project in Billings, that commercial building retrofit, and Clearwater Credit Union out of Missoula has financed 3 renewable energy projects on hotels that have added solar panels to their properties this summer. So it's not actually any state funded.
There's be some projects then that potentially no investors would be interested in.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean,
Okay, so it's not guaranteed.
no, and it's not a requirement that a property owner even reach out to us. We obviously want to try to help the projects get done, and this tends to be a cheaper way for the property owner to finance these types of specific improvements. Because again, they're paying it over a much longer term, so the cash, and actually the biggest benefit really is when you think about it, especially on a lot of these older buildings in a lot of rural Montanas, these systems, heating and cooling systems, are very inefficient. So if they need to replace something because it's broken anyway, if they go with a much more energy efficient something, maybe that's 90% efficiency versus 60% efficiency, over time, they're going to start recognizing those savings right away. So these projects tend to cash flow positive, or at least neutral, immediately, as opposed to a more typical commercial loan where the borrower is just going to borrow the whole amount of money that they've got to install it, and they just start paying it back on the principal and interest.
Doesn't Northwestern do something like this already on this efficiency stuff?
Well, they have a variety of programs that are rebates and incentives, and that's the other advantage of this program not being funded with state or federal money. It can be paired with other types of opportunities. So like if you've got a project that qualifies for low-income housing tax credits or community development block grant program funds, or they're in an opportunity zone. There's a whole wide variety of other economic development, the tax credits through the Inflation Reduction Act. The rebate programs, well, the hotel, the more green and yellow case study for Xerxes, that hotel, that property owner was actually able to apply to the, on the backside, the property owner was able to apply to the U.S. Department of Agriculture Rural Development REAP program, just Rural Energy Assistance Program. They were able to qualify for a 40% grant of the amount of money that they were putting into that. So we were able to then, and we always work with property owners. Let's find you the cheapest money you can to get this project done. And if free money is there, use the free money. So that particular property, again, negotiated completely between the property owner and the lender. He chose to go ahead and finance it for the full amount of the project that was eligible. So just shy of $250,000, I think, over 15 years, because it's Clearwater Credit Union, they have limitations. They could have gone longer if they would have went with the bank, but 15 years. And he chose to basically, when he gets that reimbursable grant back from the REAP program, which was about $90,000 of that $250,000, he's just going to pocket that. So he's not, he could have worked with the bank and chosen to basically only finance the net amount of that. So 250 minus 90, 160. He could have chosen to just finance $160,000 over the 15 years. But again, because that's a private negotiation between the lender and the borrower, he chose to go ahead and finance that full 250,000 because he did, and then he's going to be able to probably get a better return on his investment by having that $90,000 back in house.
This is mainly then, now I'm trying, but it's more for businesses than just a house.
Right, it's not a
Yeah.
resident. Montana did not approve residential base. It's only commercial.
Why would we want to get into the business?
So you're not in the business part of it, just like businesses right now have SIDs on the books to pay for like lighting improvement districts or lighting.
I understand.
Yeah, that's all this is. It's basically, it's just another option.
Well, one concern I've heard is the kind of set people up for failure, giving struggling business a loan that's, they're not really doing well. I mean,
It's a credit decision. Again, it's a private sector credit decision. So that private sector lender works with the property
they'll
owner
have
to
to show
get
that
their financials.
they've got the
Yep,
income coming in.
exactly. It's not, yeah, it's not like an economic development, again, because it's not state funded or federal
Yeah.
funded, so it's not an
So
economic
they're gonna wanna
development.
see that they make.
Yep,
money.
There's a
exactly.
difference right there, Blaine. It's not economic development where the money's going, could be going down the tubes
Right,
because of economic development. This
Yeah.
is an actual loan from
right.
They're gonna have to
Reg-
show a
business,
financial
yeah.
statement.
a
Exactly.
financial.
Yeah, they're gonna have to show that they're solid enough.
Yeah,
that
they're
they're
solid,
gonna-
yeah.
That they meet the bank's typical debt coverage ratio, that they've got enough cash flow coming in to make those payments. And so you're right, I've probably, since I started with this program, they brought me on board full-time just to manage the program in November of 22, so a little over 2 years. I've probably had conversations with 120 projects, of which probably 30 are realistic. Once we go through the details, and again, the property owner understands what it works for. And of those, we've closed 6 financings and 5 to date, and actually at the end of the month, I'll close another 2. So it's also not from a burden standpoint, it's also not like you're gonna have hundreds of these to put on the books. I mean, it would be wonderful to some extent. I'm not sure how much you guys want on all of that, quick development, but like right now, Butte Silver Bow will have 2 of these on their county books. Gallatin County has 1, Yellowstone County has 1. I think I'm missing 1 in there too, but yeah, again, if Granite County were to have 2 or 3 of these over the next 5 to 10 years, that would be a huge success for the program.
And so you're just going to the counties to ask, I guess,
Yeah,
ask us to join just because
opt in.
we gotta put it on the county tax
exactly.
deal.
Yeah, so
That's
there
the only
has to be
reason
legal
you're-
documentation, which is
Okay.
via those resolutions.
But it's gonna be put on the tax bill anyway.
No, if you guys don't choose to opt into this is just a financing option that's not available to those property owners. So if you, exactly, so if you guys were to say no, then I would let the developers of Stevens Hotel know that C-PACE financing is not an option for those types of eligible improvements. They would have to go more traditional financing for the full project.
Unless the municipalities wanted to pick it up, correct? Because Phillipsburg or Drummond could choose.
That is, yeah, you're right. So
Yeah.
the city of Phillipsburg, city town of Phillipsburg, yes, you are correct, because Flathead, if you look in one of my presentations, there's a map of our current coverage. And Flathead County has chosen not to, but the city of Kalispell saw that it was beneficial and the city of Whitefish saw that it was beneficial. So they have opted in through the city, for the city limits, businesses within those city limits. But ultimately, it still goes through the same county tax assessment.
Right, so then it's still, so that, say that Phillipsburg as a municipality chose to do it. They would then essentially be saying, this is the information, send it to the DOR. The DOR still sends it to the county treasurer and it still gets put on the tax assessment.
Correct.
So if the county chose to not participate, then their option then moves to the towns and the towns could choose to participate and we're in the same boat. That
Right.
we're still.
Really,
facilitating.
because, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
because it still is done through that same county tax assessment process.
Yeah.
But then in addition, like what you had said earlier with the additional taxes, because of the value, increase in value, the county might not be recognizing that as much as the city on the bills.
Exactly. No.
Are the town of Phillipsburg and Drummond looking at this, or they wait to see?
No,
county
because
do it?
Because I, as a statewide program administrator manager, approach at the county level first. and I would only approach the individual municipal communities if the county were saying no. And only really if they're, I mean, we, at that point in time, we just kind of wait to see if there's a project and there's interest expressed. I don't really feel like it's my job to go out and try to get county government to get city government. But if there is a business opportunity and they approach their city, local city, which is what was happening in Kalispell and Whitefish.
So if I may, and Scott's comment is they're gonna pay taxes anyway. Yeah, they're gonna pay taxes on the building and taxes on the ground. Where you're looking at an assessment that's gonna be, bring it up in value and the taxes are gonna be higher, and it's a benefit to the county, and it's also a benefit to the business owner to be able to be in compliance and to save energy, and it's, my opinion, it is a very good program. And there isn't anything except for maintenance and building the fund in the treasurer's office that's going to, and Ashley, if she chose to do an administrative fee, she probably could if she felt that she had 100 of them coming in and that. Is there gonna be an SID for each business? Or is it gonna be under one SID?
So once, my understanding from the software side is once you build that CPACE assessment on the account side,
Yeah.
then you basically have that code available so that each individual parcel that would come in for CPACE would just have that code added to it.
And so when I would go to do the distribution, there's a distribution report that would pull each payment and would have the tax ID associated with that payment. And that could even be a report that I could give to the commissioners too, if they wanted an update on what is, how it looks and how it's coming through.
Yeah, the real only negative I see of it is the administrative part, but if that can be, that's not a problem.
And she has SIDs right
Yeah.
now.
If you look at page 5 of my presentation and the slide number little 9, that kind of goes over some of the benefits to the local government district. So basically, again,
Yeah.
going back to that 30% of wasted energy costs that a potential property owner has, recognizes. So again, you're gonna encourage economic growth by having these improvements made on the businesses. The businesses are gonna be able to save money right away. Ultimately, it's gonna create and retain jobs, potentially because of, again, savings that those businesses recognize. Also kind of like the indirect that I referenced. I mean, this company's looking at working with an architect in Billings, they're working with a contractor out of Missoula. So while it might not be actual jobs right here in Granite County, it's also supporting the Montana economy. Again, it's ultimately going to increase those property values and then increase the revenues. And again, it's 100% voluntary. We're not forcing this on anybody. If a property owner wants to investigate into it, it's just another tool in the economic development toolbox for Kelly to have. When a business owner might reach out to her and say, this is what I'm looking at doing. If CPACE is approved in her county, she can say, well, this is another financing option that you can look at. You can reach out to Carolyn and get the details on that part too. So just like she would work with them for, any other grant or loan opportunity within the economic development programs, this would be another option for her to offer the property owner.
So like what you said, that if we said no, you're gonna go tell that person that whatever down.
Yeah, I'm
there.
gonna have to
And
let
then-
them know.
Let me finish. let me
Okay.
Finish, that then you're gonna tell them, no, the commissioner said no, so then you go to the city.
I would let them know that that's an option if they want to pursue it. And then the same way I'm presenting this to the county, I would go to the city council. I'm also presenting, well, I'm on the phone call tonight with Red Lodge. Carbon County was another county that decided not to pursue it at this point in time. But the city of Red Lodge feels that it's appropriate and they've got some projects that are interested in, so the city council is having this in front of them right now.
What would you say, like the smaller projects that you have seen come through? So say we have existing in Drummond and Williamsburg, existing buildings that need to update things, like you're saying, like HVAC, things like that. Would you say on a small scale, there have been anyone or any properties or businesses that have participated in this program?
So all 3 of our hotel properties, the same property owner did, 2 in Butte, 1 in Bozeman, were all under $250,000 worth of improvements. So we have found though, because it does involve a little bit more legalities, there's some more legal documents that have to be closed at signing. Obviously, the process to get the assessments on file at the county and stuff like that. We have found that if projects start getting under about $150,000, that the additional fees don't really help pencil that project out. At that point in time, looking at the cost benefit analysis of a more traditional commercial loan versus CPACE, the commercial loan tends to be more cost effective for the business, and the CPACE really doesn't show to. And again, we're perfectly willing to walk through that process with the property owner to say, what's your best option?
I guess on that note, where you got on your discussion decision, I guess somebody wanted to make a motion. I'm against it. I just don't feel good about it. That's just the way I.
I'll make a motion that we accept
Let me see.
CPACE. Okay, sorry.
Oh, I'm just saying that, that's, I was giving you, if you were gonna have to line, I just don't feel good about this.
Why don't you feel good about
I
it?
just don't understand it well enough and it just.
Well, that's it. You don't understand it.
Well, that's my opinion, Blanche, and I can say that.
I know, I'm just saying that. You don't understand it and they're trying to
So
explain.
why
it.
would I vote for it if I don't understand it?
Well, no, you wouldn't have to. I'm not saying that.
All right, I'm just telling you, I was explaining it to you, because I know you're gonna ask me. That's the way it is.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept CPACE. One thing before I do you actually have any feelings of concern about Granite County joining this program?
I don't have any concerns. I have some really good resources through the other treasurers that are participating in this program, and they have already told me that they are more than happy to help walk me through it. And so I do not have any concern that it's gonna add any additional workload to my office that I can't handle or be able to reach out and have help with.
What they encourage your, excuse me, your motion to be to go ahead with the resolution of intent versus accepting the program, because we have to go through the public hearing
Okay.
process before accepting it. So I think the motion should be to
Okay,
go through with the draft and have the resolution of intent on the agenda.
okay, that's my motion.
Thank you. That's what I correct as well.
I'll second that, I'm sure.
Any public comments? Go ahead, Elena.
Thank you, Chairman Adler. For opening it up, and I must have missed when you said you opened it up for a motion, but the sound isn't that good here. Anyway, for the record, sorry about that. For the record, Lena Gagliano, and again, the sound's not that good. To the person who presented this, I think I got that you're not Kelly Sullivan. Am I correct?
Yes, that is correct. My name is Carolyn Jones, and I work,
Carolyn Jones.
yeah, Carolyn Jones, and I work for the Montana Facility Finance Authority. And we are the statewide administrator of the CPACE program as designated by the legislature.
Okay, so you're executive director of Headwaters RC&D?
No, that is Kelly.
Oh, okay, so, all right, fine. So you're giving a presentation. It's hard, you have to excuse me, it's hard following it, your presentation, because the slides are not up. So we can't, anybody on Zoom can't follow it. You said the legislature was involved with this. Do you have the bill number?
Well, it was approved in 2021, and it's MCA 90-4-13 that CPACE is under.
Okay, CPACE. All right, a clarification for the record. Granite County doesn't have any cities. We have 2 towns, and it does make a big difference.
Yes,
And another
I misspoke earlier, and I was corrected.
another point. Let's see, what was it before I was interrupted? We know, for the record, that when businesses' property goes evaluated higher, they pass on the property cost to the people that use their products or use their services. Okay, so somebody's going to pay for it. Are you associated with the Headwaters Foundation of Montana, or is Kelly Sullivan associated with the Headwaters Foundation?
I am not associated. I can't speak for Kelly's affiliations.
Okay, but she was the one that was given this presentation, so I don't understand. That's
Kelly
okay.
was here to introduce myself, to give the presentation.
Oh, she was there?
She was on the agenda to be here. Unfortunately, she had to attend a funeral at the same time as the commission meeting.
I see.
She was unable to attend.
Okay,
Original role on the agenda was to introduce me
We don't
to
have
present the program.
We explained when you come up that you were covering for it, you're fine. You
Okay,
don't have to get.
all right, I'm sorry, excuse me,
No,
this is a
I'm
public
sorry.
comment, and if you don't mind, I'd like to finish it. If you don't mind, sir, I'd like to finish it. You opened it up for,
I'm not gonna get into
Yeah,
this.
and she's already been told that twice.
You did what you were supposed to, you explained why you were here, we don't have to go into about what the other ladies do.
okay, thank you.
Yes. So.
So I
Got a
second.
second. All in favor,
I,
opposed? Motion been carried past.
So I can follow up by sending, we have templates for the resolution of intent and the final resolution, and I can go in and complete like 90% of that and just highlight the areas that the local county would need to fill in order to continue on in the next meeting's agenda. And I can go ahead and send those. if you want.
Yeah.
Is there a particular person? I
Yeah.
think probably,
Okay, perfect.
Did you have another question, Brian?
No, we're good.
I had a question. Carolyn, you have a website
Mhm.
that also has a video
Mhm.
that explains the program as well.
That is correct.
Okay, so would you say that that is something that would be very good for us to put out there for everyone to watch that wants to be a part of this program? Yeah, answer any questions. Do you think that that is a good resource?
It is a good resource. It's I believe there's two. One is basically a recording of this presentation that I've given, kind of the general slides and stuff, that's myself and my coworker stuff. The other one is put out by a national CPACE organization. It's called PACE Nation. So it is very high level on that part too. So, but I believe it is specific to CPACE. That's where I want to get concerned, because there are three states, or I want to be careful. There are 3 states across the nation that do residential PACE, but Montana legislature and bankers and credit unions and ourselves were very against doing this in a residential side. There's just a lot of concerns, so it is just commercial PACE on that part too. I'll go back and revisit that and see if there's any other concerns, but I would feel that, yeah, it's a good introductory to how the program works nationally, but each state that enables legislation can set it up a little different.
So lastbestpace.com would be a good place to go to watch what you submitted to us today, the
Yes.
shots.
Yes.
So
Did you put a link? on
yeah,
the-
she also, we just received these from Carolyn, and Miranda will be putting this presentation on the web for anybody to
Okay.
view after.
Mhm. Yeah, as public materials.
So, yeah, so we'll move on, we're running over time.
Apologies for that.
No, you're fine.
thank you.
Thanks.
And if you have additional questions, and maybe, if you want to talk offline too, I'm happy to kind of walk you through an actual completed project from start to finish, just to try to see if I can help answer other questions.
I'd be interested
So,
just to see like the start to
Yeah, you
finish.
bet.
And
yeah, send me an email, and I'm happy to set up an offline meeting that we can just kind of go over that in more detail and really kind of dig down into the details. And in addition to the county resources, we also have contacts at Black.
We.
Oh, perfect.
we do.
The software.
It's a screen, so don't worry about that.
Thank
We're
you.
fine.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks.
Oh, perfect, thank you. And I think I have your email on the
Alright,
agenda, right?
so-
Yep, okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
We'll go into the resolution 2025-1. Establish regular commission meetings, regular courthouse office hours. This is the second reading.
I make a motion, we adopt resolution 2025-1.
I second it.
Public comment?
So, I know Ashley,
Could you state your name?
Carol Bornstein, Circuit Court. And what Ashley stated, she was wanting to close offices for lunch. And I feel if there's a problem with one of the offices, it should all. We should go as a team and support her. I mean, if she's got an issue, I don't think it matters either way. Personally, I mean, I can't go home at lunch, so it's not a big deal for me to be open. I think it's the same way. But I would like to support Ashley on being closed for lunch if it's a problem in her office. I'm here to support her as a team. Be part of a team and help her.
I'm happy to do that as well, like I said before, it doesn't affect our office.
We don't have a lot of walk-in traffic because we got e-filing now. So,
Yeah, there's not a lot of people coming upstairs and, but. Yeah, it's more the clerk and recorder's and treasurer's office, the issue.
Any other public comment?
The one question on this, the resolution does state that we're open through lunch. We'd have to start this process all over if we chose to close the offices at lunch, correct?
Correct. The other option, so I'd go with the resolution and Ashley could close her office.
Right, the statutes.
Statute
still
allows
can-
it.
Still do that,
If you're-
right?
If you're wanting all the offices to be closed, and we can amend the resolution, have it on the agenda twice.
Any other comments? None, all in favor?
Second, I made a motion.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any? The resolution as is, second it,
yeah. Second,
All in favor?
I,
Motion carried.
so it's gonna be open very much. Sorry, I tried.
I already got my answer.
yeah, cause now, I mean, she can still, if she wanted to.
Yeah,
she wanted
Right.
it, she still can by statute.
We don't have to read
Right.
this.
I think that's a bad mark on her office. Oh. In the public's eyes.
Oh,
That's why I would not
Do that.
be utilizing that MCA for that very reason. Unless it was absolutely necessary.
one thought would be in your budget proposal, or if it's a staffing issue, to bring that up to the commission.
Yep, if we had had a little more support in our county option tax, then that would have
Yeah,
been a good big help, but that's for another year.
good
All
point.
right, so we'll move on to 2025-2 resolution established mileage, lodging and per diem for the business.
I'll make a motion that we accept 2025-2, establishing mileage, lodging and per diem for the calendar year 2025.
I'll second that motion.
Public comment? Being none, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Alrighty, so now we'll go to 2025-3 resolution said daily incarceration rate for the calendar year 2020.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution 2025-3.
I'll second.
Public comment? Being none, all in favor?
I,
Motion carried and passed.
Thanks.
You.
Find those.
we have claims. And then you can start them, and then there's some printouts that.
Wow, and change it for a person.
Yeah, it did get changed. You don't have the updated ones there.
Yes, this is like 20.
Or there's something.
This is.
Let me,
So probably.
That's my bad.
say I didn't get it on this one. Let me go check.
You guys already sent the jail.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
The state's gonna
82,
set it in.
Try to keep them in order.
Yeah.
The state changes it.
Take it back, take it back.
Yeah, drop them all on the floor.
8280 is what it is.
Yeah, sounds
It
good.
could be better.
This my copy?
You can have it, I can print another one, I
Oh.
just did the one, just to
Oh.
let you know. But I'll print
All right.
for them.
Miranda and I've been emailing back and forth. You got those right about the.
Yes,
Okay.
Yep.
What?
and I'll send you that.
Surplus Explorer.
It's going in the paper.
Yep.
It's out, is it out there? for
It's in the
people to get?
garage right now, but I'll pull it out.
Good.
After she gets it. Advertised.
Yeah,
We
I'll
have
get you
three.
that.
Yeah, they
Oh.
have.
For the reason the one, not the update, so I'm gonna go.
Okay. So here's
Are you guys done?
those two for you to sign.
Yes, God, yes, God.
Yeah, that deal rate, I can't change it anyway. You know, so. I'm not sure when the state does their calculations on it, but when they do it, if it goes up, I'll get back on the agenda.
Seems like they're always a little behind and then it comes through and then, because it did that one young man went from 63 to 68 or something. I remember that.
They are,
Whatever, comes back.
you know. Well, like to be
Can
getting.
we go off for a few minutes?
Yeah.
Randy, please.
I'd like to be getting all we can if we're gonna house any of them.
We're still doing the claims.
You guys have a good day. It's just.
Miranda, did you ever hear anything from the plumbers? Did they say anything?
Yep, they're gonna, we signed the estimate or the bid, and they're gonna get back to me in like a week or two.
Okay.
For the house and all.
Yep.
Yeah, yes, they sent it out to computer.
I gotta order, or I gotta pick what kind of,
Software.
yeah, the Microsoft, and I think the standard one has everything you'll need, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. I don't think, yeah, exactly, so I think we'll just do standard. Outlook's got your email. As long as you can read your emails. I'll let you know when that gets in.
Yeah.
Hold the phone, but when somebody calls you, if you need to go look their road,
Yeah,
write down your claim and your mileage, cause then that way we have proof, we went and looked in that. You seen
Okay.
where mine, I got there.
yeah, I saw that.
A lot of
road deal.
times I'll run the road, just like Paul was gone for 2 weeks, so I was doing,
Okay,
taking care of that stuff, but there'll be times like this, you might have to run up to the lake and have to write down your mileage, that's going back.
okay,
So then that way you can, have proof.
that, I went, okay. Lot of signatures. It's a lot of signatures.
Not bad, wait till summertime, it's not that.
Oh, really?
And now they're doing it twice.
Yeah. I'm again next week, but. I'm still learning too, probably. I don't know. We'll figure this out.
We'll figure
right?
it out, yeah. Right,
Change some shit up.
by summer,
Yeah, by summer.
yeah, figure it out.
Tomorrow's already been 3 months for me. Which is crazy. Isn't that wild?
We're only 3 months?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Started October 15th.
It's November, it's-
Yeah, she
that was
moved.
last November 1st.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Huh.
Halloween weekend.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it was crazy.
She doing good?
Yeah,
I've talked to her a little bit. but
yeah, she's
not-
having fun.
Good.
Ty's doing well, like school.
Good.
They're coming home. Couple weeks.
Are they?
Yeah,
Nice.
be here for about a week or so.
Oh, good. She pops in.
Yeah, I don't talk to her too often. Try to at least call her once a week.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and then, yeah, they'll be home for that and. Whenever they have, maybe they got spring break, when we have spring break. they come
Oh,
home for
okay.
Like 10 days or
Oh,
something.
good.
like that, too.
That'll be nice.
So,
I see his old buds,
yeah,
cousins.
you're fine.
Did you get me now?
Oh, yeah.
You can do a motion to accept the
Oh.
claims.
There's a motion.
Right.
Oh,
I make a motion, we approve claims for December 2020.
I second that motion.
Public comment? Page none, all in favor?
I,
I,
Got about 5 minutes.
okay.
There you go. Got enough.
So do we want to just send an email to the superintendent to start using Cenex? If it's Cenex,
I think we'll put it on. the agenda.
Oh, on the agenda, okay.
Maybe next week, next week he comes in, we'll just put it there and talk about it.
Okay.
Yes,
I think it'll be good enough. Okay,
Yeah.
Absolutely. I thought they did.
they did forever.
I know like the state tries to do that. We try to go
Yeah.
back and forth.
They get a lot, you know.
The DUI task force does the gift cards to designated drivers and they rotate around.
Right, I guess a couple minutes early, but we'll go ahead right into the USGS gauge annual payment under contract, discussion decision. We do this every year. The only thing my comment is on this is it wasn't working right, they wouldn't get back to it right away. I wish they'd have a little better communication. I think so we can answer, because once we start getting flooded by everybody else, we can't answer.
Right, and it seemed like potentially they'd get back to Billy a little bit, but then they were slow getting it worked on too.
So I'd entertain a motion for this.
Did you need a little more explanation on it? Blaine can probably explain.
Yeah, maybe.
So required to have that gauge below the dam, shows the outflow, so it's the one that shows on website, USGS website, what's the name of that? The gauge, it's
Crossing.
Yeah.
Southern.
Southern Cross
Oh, yeah.
gauge. And so, yeah, we share the costs, but yeah, per agreement.
So with that, I'll make a motion that we make the annual payment under the contract for the USGS gauge.
I'll second it.
Public comment? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Is there a gauge showing the inflow off of Flint Creek? Coming in?
We get a hold of, Todd. He kind of gives us.
There is there on the North Fork of Flint Creek, a little wooden gauge in there. Both all the springs coming in and everything.
Right.
It's,
It's hard to
yeah.
And then I can, we get a lot of water out of Silver Lake too.
coming back, yeah.
So the best way is to gauge it for a week of releases and see where
it's
it
at.
goes. Yeah, it's the best. Yeah.
They keep coming up, I mean, we'll be hit full, and they didn't think we would. They just took a little longer. It's sitting a lot better than
There's some snow up there,
Yeah.
in my country now.
Willow Creek, so low. I went ice fishing with the kids Saturday. Oh, I've never seen that.
That's a, they
Alright.
like Parson though, he goes, you're basically in a puddle.
That's all it is. I mean.
The fishing's good.
You're 100 yards down, you get to the end.
Yeah.
It don't look good to me.
Well, didn't Discovery get 5 inches this weekend?
I think so.
I thought I heard. Yeah, they need. That's probably excellent skiing.
I know, I looked at the snow tell, I'm like, oh, I can't remember if it's Peterson Metals or one of those up there. I mean, it's like 90% of normal.
So that was way down.
Yeah.
Game, yeah. Well, they said the whole state started to come up. Look at Browning, boy, they got hit with wind.
Really?
Yeah, it was
Well, I didn't see that.
drifting
Yeah.
10 feet high, wasn't it?
Huh.
Yeah, just.
Get out your door.
Yeah, that road was, yeah.
Well, the outlook shows like, we're supposed to kind of be cooler temperatures, but the moisture is supposed to be way up for the next like 2 months. For the,
Yeah,
long range.
And we, next week and that, I might start looking if we keep gaining that, but try to
Bump it up.
a little bit, see if they're all approved. Cause we got more coming in, going out, obviously.
'Cause what did we gain? Just under an inch last week after bump, 'cause we're at 12 something. Or 11.5 now.
11 something.
Now it's bumping it up to 10. We went to 10
From
last year.
6 to 10, yeah.
10 in the off season, the max unless the agencies approve, but they only may. And it's,
That's a
you get
good
the point in May and June where it's,
Kinda
you're
kills
avoiding
it.
going over that. It's built.
Right.
Once it's at,
Yeah,
full capacity, then.
Kind of
it's
covers
not just a
itself.
modification. Release.
Yeah,
You can't do
and
a
that
ride.
was a big thing, and it's like, wow, you know, it's hard to, it just wasn't.
We try not to get it go to the spillway, right? Is that for more or less the structure of the dam type? Is that what that's all about?
For a while, the commissioners wanted to kind of test it there after, but yeah, I mean,
We put
might as
a
well
lot-
use it. Yeah, try to.
we
but
put a
that's-
lot of money in it, they painted it, and that, as soon as we let the water go over it, the rooster tail pulled all the concrete, so they had to go back and redo it, otherwise we're covered.
Right,
Well, the homeowners were upset when it was that full too, because it's damaging the other. Like,
too full or?
yeah,
not
too full,
enough?
yeah, so it's a balance and, yeah, it's.
That's the thing,
Yeah,
you gotta
it's-
answer them. So many different entities, so it's
Right.
pretty tough to keep everybody happy.
Yeah,
We'll go ahead and start this, or it's got.
Probably early, but
Just close, just a second, I'll get it shut
Hello.
down.
Hi, how you doing?
You can
Come on
shut
in.
it off around.
Sit here if you want.
Okay, we're back on, we're behind, but we were in a closed session for personnel matter. We're gonna talk about awarding the courthouse roof project bid, discussing decision. I got your email, Blaine, and I agree with you after last week, it'd be pretty tough to. You know. What's their? You know, that's a lot of money.
Let's see, I haven't read the full letter from Slate, so they're, Slate, Seth and Scott met, Cromwell met with Dave Kaufman, our consultant. And they were gonna recommend rebidding, let's see, the letter says, I hope. Can I read it? Is there anyone on?
Elena.
Okay, I hope this letter finds you well. I'm writing to formally recommend the rejection of both bids received. The Granite County Courthouse re-roof project. After a thorough review and evaluation of submitted bid proposals, we have identified several concerns that warrant this recommendation. Cost overruns, the bids received significantly exceed budgetary constraints. Accepting any of these bids would result in financial strain and potential compromises in other critical areas of Granite County's operation. Scope and specification, we feel the bids may not have fully aligned with the scope and specifications outlined in the project requirement. This misalignment could lead to project delays and additional costs. Quality and compliance, some bids raise concern regarding the quality of materials and compliance with industry standards. Timing is now understood with their regions of Montana, particularly the High Line, where a significant hailstorm damaged many roofs during the summer of 24. It is believed that many roofers are inundated with work necessary for this correction, or requested start date may have impacted some roofers providing a bid, thereby creating timeline concerns and increasing the cost. Given these factors, we believe it is the best interest of Granite County to reject all current bids and reevaluate our approach. We're probably revisiting the project documents and budget to better align with our goals and constraints before we reissue a new request for proposal.
So are they gonna? They gonna come back with another. Bid thing, are they charging us for it? I think they're covering, cause it wasn't, the bid wasn't set up the way it should have been, and then we opened it. One guy, you know, I think.
Well, there was some confusion with the bid documents, but they had the walkthrough, and I talked to Dave Kaufman, who said he explained right there. But so I don't know that I put it on Slate, but I think rebidding it. And so the statute talks about the lowest reasonable bid. And I think you guys could make a finding that the bids were not reasonable, because they're
yeah,
potentially, you know, the thought was a little over 200,000, each came in like over 500. So I don't think, I think the cost deal is the main deal, they weren't reasonable bids.
Yeah.
I don't think we have the money anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can get by with where, the way it is now, it just, we see where it's spots that need to be fixed and we've just jerry rigged them kind of and
But
made them work.
I think they'll come up with a proposal that's more workable. Yeah. Hello, how's it going?
Sorry, we were running behind.
Oh, no worries.
So, I don't know if you saw the letter from Slade.
I have not.
Here, have you?
How are you guys all today?
Oh,
Good.
How about you?
Good.
Got an elevator,
Yeah,
huh? All right.
yeah, they delivered it yesterday. It just showed up. We unloaded it. We just had to take it back to TCS's shop. Put it in a closed heated area there. There just wasn't quite enough room. Without
Sound like the
scattering
Grinch.
it all over the courthouse here, so.
That sounds good. So the thought was, well, the recommendation was to rebid it. And, I think that Slade has some ideas on, changes that can be a little better for everyone. Your thoughts?
I don't know, in my opinion, I think it would be better if you guys would like to continue working with a general contractor to do get him involved and maybe bid it out as a construction manager type project. I don't know if you've talked to Scott at all about that.
No, that's, yeah, that's option two.
Similar bid process, but you interview contractors, so they pick a contractor and they'll give you a bid price also.
That could be done. All right, well, yeah, powwow then with them on that.
Right, so the roofing bids I got were from 314,000 to 341,000. And then, so that's tearing off the roof and putting the roof back on. The rest of the money, I guess, on top of that is interior work, window work, and then managing the project. But it's kind of a breakdown.
So, yeah, I think we should, yeah. We'll definitely be powwowing with Dave Kaufman and Slade.
Okay, so what you're saying is the whole bid was to get the dome and stuff fixed on the inside too?
No,
Oh, okay,
just the windows and,
just the,
There's some windows too that go along with it. Yeah.
right, I mean, all of the plywood that gets attached to those brick walls up there. I mean, that piece alone was probably $50,000 just to get the plywood adhered to the brick so the membrane can go up over the top. It's just, they all have to get epoxied and it's just a lot of work, so. I don't know if they can get around doing that. Like it's just kind of, that's the state of the brick. They can't adhere or be lower than the top of the brick.
Yeah.
I'd encourage you to follow their recommendation. By motion.
what he said. No, it's-
I'll second it.
Any public comment? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Pop in and figure out something.
Plan going forward. All right,
All right.
thanks. Yeah.
It's all good. I just actually didn't want to work with another contractor while we're doing the elevator piece. And our elevator contractor is looking like they're still 6 weeks out before they can start putting it in. So we will be pushing it right into alignment with the elevator being installed and this roof project starting.
They got all year, hopefully, the end of October, I think, that we had the construction season. All right,
Thanks.
thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
Have a good one.
Yep.
And that we relaxing, We adjourn.
Adjourn.